Well, first of all, thank you everyone for making the time to join us here today. We really appreciate you tuning in. First of all, I'd like to introduce our CX for Growth webinar series. This is a monthly webinar series we've been running from the startups team here at Intercom. And really, we're focusing on different customer experience topics with the objective of helping you drive growth in your business. Grab a coffee or tea or water or whatever you like and kind of settle in for today's conversation. We're joined by Kuda and Paystack, and we'll be discussing scaling your fintech customer support and looking at kind of the foundational self-serve motions you'll need in place, then how to embed automation, personalization, and proactive approaches. And then also looking at kind of the developing your culture and your team so you can scale. To introduce myself, I'm Alan Glinchey. I work in the Intercom startup team based here in San Francisco. And I focus on partnering with VC firms globally and also promoting Intercom among the startup ecosystem. So Norah, I might ask you to introduce yourself briefly as well.
Okay, hi everyone. Hi Alan. My name is Norah Ikoh. I'm the head CX operations at Kuda.
Super. And Sheikha, I might ask you to introduce yourself as well.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Ikoh and I'm a customer success manager for disputes specifically at Paystack. And what I do is basically interact with banks and to resolve chargebacks and fraud claims made by their customers in a nutshell.
Super. And it's great to be joined by two CX leaders from top fintech companies from the Africa region. It's not a place I've got to visit yet or know a huge amount about, but I found it really fascinating to see that 65% of the adult population is unbanked and that the population is due to double by 2050. So really interesting nuance to kind of your region generally. Sheikha, before I dig into today's topic, could you tell me a bit more about kind of Paystack and as a business?
Yes, I can. So Paystack is a technology company acquired by Stripe. We help ambitious businesses accept payments from anyone, anywhere in the world. We do that by providing lots of free tooling to our merchants to help them boost their growth. We are currently in Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, where we see thousands of new users each week embrace commerce on the internet for the first time, making payments on the internet for the first time using Paystack. And we are rapidly expanding across Africa.
Super. And Norah, could you tell me a bit about Kuda and as a business as well and the story behind it?
Okay, so Kuda, as we all know, is the #1 digital-only bank in Africa. And we're on a mission to make financial services more accessible, affordable, and rewarding for every African on the planet. We're currently building a better alternative to traditional finance by delivering services like free transfers, credits, smart budgeting, free cards, and all this, we're doing through mobile devices. We launched the Kuda app in 2019, August, and now we have over 4 million customers and 4 million customers in Nigeria, yeah. And then we're looking to expand to other countries,
That's super growth from 2019 to, it's always more years ahead than I think it is, but that's 3 years. That's incredibly fast to scale up.
Yeah,
it's very impressive. I suppose, like, Norah, thinking a bit about as you've been dealing with that scale and starting to grow the business, how did you kind of design your self-serve support motions?
Okay. Well, I mean, when we started, it was a case of customers reaching out to us, to the agents, and then we were helping them resolve their issues, and then there'd probably be like a delay. Customers basically want their issues fixed immediately or
Sure.
on their own. What I realized rather was that customers like to start with self-help. Like when they reach out to you, sometimes they ask, isn't there a way I can do this on myself without reaching out to you? Because it's convenient for them to solve their simple issues. So, but if they have issues, they can ask the agents for support if necessary. So that's why we recently launched our self-help feature that allows customers to restrict and unrestrict their accounts in cases where they suspect fraudulent activity. So basically, if you suspect that your account has been hacked, or you suspect that your account is being used for fraudulent activities, you can actually go to that site, block your accounts immediately, change your password, and secure your device, and then unrestrict it again. But this, you use your facial recognition to do all that so that it is properly secure. And then we have agents or bots that suggest the self-help center, when the customer reaches out, basically. So when they've secured the device and then, change your password, they can now go back on there and then unrestrict. We also have chatbots that respond to customer inquiries, as well. Yeah. So customers don't have to reach out to the agents for simple issues and all. But yeah, with self-serve, our agents are actually able to focus on more complex issues. So now we have the bots do those things. We have the self-serve support help customers do to do things that they can do themselves, and then the agents can focus on more complex issues to resolve. So yeah,
that makes a huge amount of sense. I recently got married a few months ago, and my wife decided to change her name to mine, and she went through two experiences. One with a traditional American bank to change her name, and we both had to go into the bank and sign paperwork, and it was the most manual, time-consuming process ever compared to some of the online banks we use, where you just press a few buttons, follow the process, do some verification, and you're off. So I think customers' desire to self-serve and to do it efficiently is as high as it is on the business side to make it efficient because of cost and everything else, right?
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense. And Sheikha, if you could tell me a bit about how you've kind of built your self-serve motion. Am I understanding correctly, most of your customers are more B2B in comparison to Kuda's that be more consumer focused, is that right?
Yeah, you're correct. So we are mostly B2B. We interact with businesses and merchants, but interestingly, we interact with their customers as well, depending on why they've reached out to us, sure. Right? I guess what we've done in the last few years is we've taken advantage of workflows and automations that exist on our tooling. Right. We've also taken advantage of the people we have, the resources we have to create content that would help give our users a good experience. And I'll highlight a few. Before we, had a robust knowledge base, we wrote support articles for merchant-facing features. We wanted merchants and customers, to find things using familiar words to be able to answer their questions themselves or find answers to their questions themselves. So while we were writing, we had it in mind to, put the topics for every article, phrase it as a question, right? Because when you look at the help center, when you come to a help desk, what you have in mind is a question or a keyword. So we made it possible for them to search with the keyword or search with a question so they can find their answers. Another thing we did internally which is more agent facing, is we created a workflow that recognizes keywords in an email so that the first response the customer gets is an article that actually talks about that thing they're looking to get an answer on, right? So in some cases, right, we get feedback from people, from merchants, for customers saying that they are really satisfied, right? And saying that it was really, really helpful, and we just closed the tickets, right? Because again, there is a survey that goes out after a customer clicks on the link to articles, and then we get feedback from the customer. Another thing we've done is we created dashboard support to help people have the best experience, right? We still want people to have access to the dashboard tools we've created, right, on the dashboard. We want people to easily find articles, documentations, guides as they interact with the product. So what we've done is, you're not going to, how will I phrase this? You are not going to stop seeing the dashboard tools just because you have gone through the dashboard for the first time. There's a place on the dashboard where you can go and actually go through the tool again, so you get familiar with it and you can just work with the dashboard and the strong tools that we've made available. We also explored video content. I think that a lot of people actually like watching videos versus reading a lot of things. So we explored that, made it available on Paystack YouTube. Lastly, we are very, very obsessed with reviewing the data on reported issues, right? So week on week, the team reviews, okay, what is like the most reported issue, what is contributing most to our, tickets, what's contributing most, why are people reaching out to us most times, right? And in 2018, I think, we realized that a lot of people were asking why Paystack is debiting them, right? So we created a tool, right, called the transaction lookup tool. And when you search on Google with why was I debited by Paystack, you find the tool. And then you are able to just go on that page and search for, card transactions that you were debited for by just imputing a few of your card details. Did
that redirect a lot of requests and a lot of traffic? Did that solve a bulk of your issues? Because often in lots of areas of business, particularly in support, there's a bulk of inquiries that are very repetitive, and you want to try to automate and solve for them as much as possible, right?
Yeah. So as a business, I'm not sure that would ever stop receiving emails.
Of course,
I mean, to be specific, as a fintech business, right, that helps business process payments, we're not going to stop receiving emails, right, about why why they were debited by Paystack. But one thing we've noticed is it's actually the 6th most visited page on the Paystack website. People spend an average of 5 to 10 minutes on that page, which is literally the amount of time you need to search for a card transaction, right? To get for and get results. So this has helped us manage inbounds to an extent. People are no longer confused, or people are now able to find who debited them, right? And maybe a follow-up question they might have is like, why was I debited, based on, the interaction they have with that business, right? So like, I guess that has helped us just manage debit escalations from our merchant customers, interestingly.
Yeah, no, it's super on the self-serve side. I suppose, Norah, it'd be interesting to ask you about how have you deployed kind of automations and personalizations to your support? If you're dealing with 4 million customers, you want to sound personal to them, but you got to have a level of automation to make that successful, right?
Yeah. Okay. So recently, I was asked to, handle the personalization aspect, of automation. So basically, we send like birthday messages to customers, which is normal. Then we also send anniversary messages to customers when you clock 1 year, but we're still working on, adding more milestones so that customers actually feel special. But, what we started with sending customers the same messages. But, last month, I, engaged a growth team, and they had to, I asked them that, we should actually have the messages different from each other. So each customer, or rather 5 customers, have different messages. So, and the feedback we're getting from that is actually really good, So one customer doesn't get the same birthday message with another customer, that's that with personalization. Then for automation, obviously we have chatbots. Recently, my team, we manage disputes like cards, funds transfers. So the challenge my team has been having is logging, card disputes against the service provider. It's very mundane, it's cumbersome, and my team members are always burnt out. So we're testing like a tool, a chatbot that would, pick those, transactions from our CRM tool and then log it against, the service provider. So my team members don't have to manually log, the bot just picks it, logs it against the service provider and provides feedback, and then we can, close out the tickets and respond to customers. So that's one tool that we're testing, and it's actually helping us because right now we're testing it. So we're trying to see, or rather measure the efficiency, and then productivity within my team as well. So but with the chatbot, we're able to serve customers better. And it's actually also reduces the need for human involvement in fixing issues. We hardly see errors now, although you can't exactly trust bots.
Yeah,
we still have to do like some checks, but it's actually helped us effectively manage, resources, manage productivity within the team. So once the bot is logging these things, the issues against the service provider and giving us feedback, we're responding to it. So we have the time now to actually respond to the customers and give them that feedback that they need, because card transactions are actually quite a lot. We have like a high volume of card transactions, so my team members can actually take their time to give them empathic responses while the bot logs those tickets that we would ordinarily do. But again, the goal is to actually help my team work more efficiently, and this will increase customer satisfaction.
And do you rely then on so when the dispute's logged with the third party, do you rely on the feedback of that coming back into the system to the customer as well on an automated basis?
Yes, we have to. We rely on that. Yeah, we do.
No, that makes sense. And when you're rolling out a project like that, I suppose it depends on the risk levels, but are you at the moment kind of A/B testing it to see what the difference is, or have you kind of rolled it out and you're just looking at the reports of the performance? Like, what's been your approach?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're testing. We do some testing. We have a project manager handling that, but we do some testing before we actually, make use of the product. Yeah, so we're still in testing mode.
Yeah, at Intercom, we test with our own teams a lot, new product features, which is, like I'm sure they're throwing a lot of different things to test, but it's a great work for our support team as well.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense. And Sheikha, I suppose, what issues require an element of human support in your world, and kind of how do you build that transition to automation or to a bot?
Okay, that's an interesting question. It's also sort of tough. For us at Paystack, all support issues require an element of human support depending on the stage and the age of the tickets, right? So, the reason why these two things are important to us is it helps us decide like what the next steps should be. So if an agent is having, an email conversation back and forth, 4 to 5 mails have been exchanged, it's high time we pick up the phone to have a phone conversation and explain things, right? Yeah. If for instance, a merchant, a prospective business wants to integrate Paystack, right? At some point, we'll provide them with the documentation and all of that. Sometimes they find it themselves, but we really want these guys to succeed with Paystack, right? We really want them to integrate it the right way. So, we might have to schedule a call with that merchant. The technical support reps would have to do that so that you have conversations, you explain, clearly, you understand what the merchant is trying to achieve with Paystack, you explain, and then you recommend what should be used, and then, that merchant succeeds, that merchant goes live. So the age, the stage, the type of request really matters. Also, we don't want to be having like back and forth with our customers. So we just pick up the phone when necessary.
Yeah, that makes sense. And do you find with your merchants that there's a large range of sophistication, that there's some that are, not as technically competent or technically au fait, for lack of a better word, as others that might want much deeper, technical support or technical integrations and things like that?
Yes. So we have, I think I'll put them in 2 categories. There are some that are super technical. They integrate Paystack and we are surprised as to how they are using the API, because again, you never know how, you build a product or you expose an API and you say you can do XYZ things. And then some merchants just brilliantly integrate it into their products in a way that you never imagined. We have that bucket. And then we have the bucket of businesses that want to take advantage of what has been pre-built. So maybe you have Wix, you have WooCommerce, you have Shopify. You just want to take advantage of what already exists, right? Yeah. We have other merchants as well who are not so savvy. Literally, you have to walk them through things. Some of them may not want websites, so you have to recommend self-serve tools like our payments pages, our storefronts. So like these are, like I said 2 earlier, but I would say 3, the ones that are super technical, the ones that are mid, know how to go about stuff, and the ones that are really, really early, right? For the really early ones, you might find yourself having multiple conversations with them, right? For the guys who are, somewhat technical, some of them would have people who would handle this integration for them. So you may not have to have a lot of conversations. For the super technical ones, you may not even have any conversation at all. And they may reach out for maybe just one very specific thing, right? That is super interesting. And then you have to work with them to achieve it.
That makes a lot of sense. And do you prioritize response times based on a kind of staging of customer, importance or value or things like that as well?
We prioritize customers differently. First, the SLA is there. We want people to get responses at least within 2 hours, right, of when they send the tickets, right? But then we are also aware that some merchants may want to talk to us more frequently than others. So we have a support channel for like those merchants, for our key merchants, for our enterprise merchants. We have that support channel for them, right? So that's how we prioritize today. But I mean, speaking about SLAs, the way we've done it is we've also categorized each ticket or each inbounds into different requests or issues, right? So someone might be reaching out for, reaching out to understand the dashboard. That is getting automatically, assigned to an agent that has been trained to work on dashboard issues. So that person did not wait, for 2 hours before getting a response, right? Because again, it's like there are different categories. We have workflows that assign stuff to different agents so that people can get answers in good time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Speaking of time, I might move on to our kind of last section to talk about developing your culture and teams to scale, just because I want to leave a few minutes for Q&A at the end. So I suppose, Norah, like how have you kind of built your team? How is it distributed and kind of developed the culture among your customer experience team?
Okay, so my team sits under the umbrella of a customer experience unit. We have 4 units: contact center, we have the service recovery, and service measurement. My own team is the CX operations team, and it houses 2 subunits: back office and onboarding. The back office team handles all escalations, dispute management, funds transfer, cards, bill payments, while the onboarding team handles KYC requests for both retail and business accounts, account management issues, and all that. So, I mean, again, what I've come to realize about, scaling your culture, scaling your team rather, is that culture plays a very big role in, developing your team. And this is determined by how we engage with each other and how we do our work. I built my team structure in a way that, I'm able to pay attention to their needs, hold periodic one-on-one sessions with them, reviews, so that I understand like the pain points they have on the job, what their goals are, where they're coming from, where they're going to, how I can help them achieve it. And I also communicate constructive feedback to them as well, so that, they feel heard and understood and ultimately do their work better. So that actually helps my team, because right now I don't micromanage my team. They do, like, I can go to sleep and my team members legit, do what they're supposed to do. So I've built that relationship with them. They can come to me for anything, questions. And again, I think with, growing your team, it's not just, it's a trajectory, it's a continuous process. So not because, they've learned it all, they know, you have to keep, ensuring that your team members, you have that communication, with your team members, and ensure that they're always heard, they're understood, because again, the success of your team depends on, your team members. So basically.
Oh, super. And I suppose, Sheikha, do you have anything to add to that around kind of team culture, or how your own organization is set up?
In addition to what she has said, hold one-on-ones, try to understand what they want to do, right? The interesting things they're trying to get their hands on, right? But in addition to that, it is basically, for us at Paystack, it's basically building capacity, right? For the people on the team, find things that play to their strengths, their interests, the business goals, help them specialize, right? You get to a point where you want one person to be in charge of one thing, right? So how do you set up that person to understand the products, to be involved in building the product, right? At Paystack, there is a user ops person on almost every product team, because again, we need to give user insights to all the cross-functional teams, right? We need to be aware when products are going live, right? So for us, it's very, 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 very important that we equip and build capacity for the people. And of course, we can't do support alone. So we have partners who we work with. Speaking about scaling, right? It gets to a point where you need to partner with people to, get your support rolling, right? To deliver high quality support, you need to work with people. You need to identify partners that have the same values as yours, work with them, and then deliver support, great support to the people.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think that's the difference, as the example I gave earlier of the incumbent bank here, the difference between fintech companies having people like yourselves working so closely into the product teams to make changes, to make improvements from your team and developing your people really makes a big difference, I think, to the ultimate customer experience at the end, I suppose I want to move to a couple of questions, if that's okay. I might start with the first one, like, what are the kind of key KPIs you're monitoring for efficiency? And I'll leave that open to either of you to answer.
Okay, I'll go first, and I guess Norah can go after. For us, customer satisfaction score is very important. We want to be sure that we are really solving their problems, answering their questions. Secondly, first response time is very, very important, because people are reached out to you and they want their problem solved like ASAP, as Norah said as well, right? So it's very important for us to pay attention to that. Ticket backlog, basically how many tickets are yet to be responded to, right? Figure out which one of them, right, requires a self-serve approach and build that into the experience you want to give customers. And then lastly is our support reps, how they are working, right? How many tickets they're responding to, how fast they're responding, and the quality of responses they're giving. Those are the things that we monitor.
Yeah, that makes sense. Are either of your teams providing 24-hour support, or is it more of a kind of like a 12-hour day, or what type of hours are your teams covering?
I would say different. So the user operations team has 3 subunits. So one team works 24 hours, and that's because the regulation requires that to happen. And some other teams don't work 24 hours. So businesses that are reviewing for compliance, for instance, may not work 24 hours. So it depends on the sub team.
Yeah. Or do you have anything to add on the kind of KPIs or any areas around that?
Yeah, I mean, everywhere, every support organization has customer satisfaction as their core KPI. That is very key. For my team, it's time to resolution, because, these issues are what has been escalated from the contact center team. So the time it takes, so we have SLAs, for resolving those issues. So the time it takes us to resolve those issues, is actually one of the KPIs, that we measure. And then customer retention for my onboarding team, because again, customers are not able to onboard successfully, they're going to drop off, and then we're losing customers. So that's a KPI for my team. And then I don't really, tickets, not exactly for me. It's just satisfaction, time to resolution, and and customer effort.
Super. I'm just seeing if there's any other questions that stand out here. I suppose are there any questions you have for each other, kind of working in very similar roles, or any nuances that you have for each other?
I think I have one for Norah. Like, what's your biggest pain point in terms of supporting your customers today? Because you interact with individuals. Mine is still split between the businesses and their customers, but you interact with individuals with different needs. So what's your biggest pain point today in terms of supporting them?
Okay, from experience, when I started off as a success lead, so we had, I regard my customers as special because obviously every customer wants their issues resolved almost immediately. So it's currently, right now, my major pain point is just getting their issues resolved on time, to be honest. I have like a major issue with cards. Like, card is one issue. I think it's a general issue with, getting card transactions reversed on time, and so that's basically, I don't really have issues with funds transfer or other, but that is basically my issue. So I'm trying as much as possible right now within my team to ensure that those transactions are reversed within SLA. That is like my major pain point. Yeah, customers always reach out. Customers will always, it's normal, but that is my own, within my team. But I mean, I can't speak for the other team because I manage the escalations. But yeah, that's my biggest headache. Yeah.
Oh, that's super. I might actually just close on one kind of question. I suppose for our audience that is, from other regions globally, are there any nuances to operating in Nigeria or kind of in some of the African countries you follow that they should keep in mind as they're maybe starting to do business there or working with partners like yourselves there?
Nuances. Okay, so Paystack is in Nigeria, Ghana, and South Africa. And to be honest, they're not exactly, the culture is different, right? But to be honest, across 3 countries, you need to pay attention to regulations. You cannot, you need to know what you absolutely need to do from a regulatory standpoint before you start a business, right? Secondly, just find really good partners that are ready to help you integrate into a market you are interested in. Have them give you, first, it's important to have a strong opinion on what you want, right? Because again, you are trying to give a different experience from every other player in that market. But secondly, also ask them questions as to how you can achieve that, right? Ask them, really ask them specific questions, and then listen to them, work closely with them. But finding good partners is very, 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 very important.
I think that's very good advice for anyone trying to operate in different global environments. There's always such nuances between countries as well. Are there different regulators in each of those countries, I assume?
Different regulators with different needs and expectations. Okay. Not exactly the same. So you need to find that information.
Before I kind of notice for a few minutes over, before I kind of head to close, anything to add, Norah, to that, or any kind of parting piece of advice from either of you?
I'd go with what Chika said. Yeah.
Super.
It's fine.
Well, thank you very much for both of your time. Just a few closing points. If check out Paystack for modern online and offline payments in Africa. If you've joined us today, please do check them out. Equally, Kuda Bank, for online banking in Nigeria is super for both personal and business. From an Ichcom point of view, we have our early stage program that's available to startups. We have over 5,000 startups using us globally. So you'll see some links in the chat. If you are an early stage startup, go check it out. We have tons of great tools for startups to set up their support and customer engagement experience early on. If you're an SME or mid-market or working in an SME or mid-market company, head to our website and check out the messenger on the page. Will help direct you to sales to find more information or to some of my colleagues. And then lastly, we have our New at Intercom event coming up on the 12th of October, where we'll be announcing and launching tons of new features for Intercom. So check out the link there. I'd really encourage you to register. But thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today, and particularly as well to our guests, to Norah and Olaseike. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your insights. And it's been a pleasure chatting with you today. So thank you, everyone, and thank you for your time, and take care.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. All right.
The startups program available on our website. We've over 5,000 startups using us, so please go check that out. If you're an SME or mid-market company, drop into the messenger on our website. Our team would be delighted to chat with you and help you learn more about Intercom and about Localize as well, our integration there.